Hi everyone, this is TB Makes a Knitting Podcast and my name is Taylor, and today I thought I would make all the whips I'm bringing into 2026 video. I know a lot of people are making everything I knit in 2025 videos right now and I love to watch those, but I was thinking about all the whips I have and I have 10 and I don't think I've ever started a year off with that many whips, so I thought it would be fun to go through them and talk about them. Yes, and see how many I can finish in 2026. So yeah, I think I said I have 10 whips. 5 of those are socks, 4 of them are sweaters or tops, and then 1 is a blanket project. So I thought I would start off with the socks. Before I start off, my little dog is walking around, so you might be able to hear him making some noise. So sorry about that. And he's leaving, so maybe he won't. Okay, so I think I'll go from most recent cast on to least recent, longest standing whips. Actually, before I jump into my whips, I thought I would just quickly mention what I'm wearing. This is my most recent finished sweater slash top project, and it is the coloring book tee by Amy Sher. It's a compound raglan, which was really, I think it fits really well. I really like the fit of it. And I think I cast on, not sure if I was wanting the size D or E and kind of aiming for somewhere in between the middle. But my gauge ended up being off, so my final measurements are actually a size E, close to the size E. And I used a 3.5 millimeter needle, and the yarn I used is Fleece and Flax by Sonder Yarn Co. in the color Staycation. And I actually bought this yarn at Knit City Montreal earlier this year in May. I bought 3 skeins of it, and I ended up only using 190 grams, which equals about 820 yards or 750 meters. So I ended up not needing the full 3 skeins, and I have a skein left over. Now I'm gonna jump into all my whips, and I'll start with socks. And these are the Driving Home for Christmas socks. This is a pattern by Charlotte Stone or Stone Knits, and they're really cute with little cars with the trees on top, and then the foot of the sock is just a tree motif. For this yarn, all of the yarn I had in stash except for the blue color. I had a couple like small amounts of leftover like mini skeins that I was thinking about using, but I don't think they were going to be enough, so I ended up purchasing this blue color. But I'll start off with the cream color. The cream is hold on. The cream is from Riverside Studio, and it's their merino sock base in the color Turkish Delight. And then there's 2 colors of Lang Yarn's Jarwall sock, the dark green and then this lighter blue. The dark green is Forest Green and the light blue is Aqua Caribbean. The red is Cascade Heritage in the color Blood Orange. And I think that's all. Oh no, wait. There's also little bits of brown for the tree trunks. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but the brown is just the leftover mini skein I had from a Coast to Coast Yarn Co. Advent when they did their coffee house countdown, I think in 2023. One modification I did make, I have made colorwork socks before, and I found that they were really tight opposite of the heel. So instead of doing the short row heel that it's called for in the pattern, I did an afterthought heel and knit a couple of rows before starting the decreases. So I'm hoping that'll give me a little bit more room, and I did try these on and the fit did feel better, so we'll see how that goes once they're all done. And I really love colorwork socks, especially ones that go all the way through the foot. I find them super cozy and warm. So I am excited to have these, even though I only had time to finish one this year. So those are the driving home for Christmas socks. I'll either finish the second sock, which I haven't started, in January or December, maybe November. These might not get finished till the end of the year. I'll either finish them right away or we'll start the next one for December. My next sock whip is actually almost done. I have one sock complete, and then I am literally working on the heel of the second one. I really wanted to get these done at the end of the year and call them a 2025 cast off, but today, it's January 1st today, I finished the heel on this one, knit the toe on the second one, and started the heel. And these are going to be a pair of socks for my partner. The yarn is from Scrumptious Purl, and it's the colorway Morning Dew. There's a 72 stitch sock circumference. I think I did like 19 rounds of 3x1 rib. I just knit until I had a few rounds of the stripes, and then I went into stockinette. He wanted a pretty tall leg, so the sock tube is 150 rounds, and then for the heel it ended up being in the 75th row from the top, right after the cuff. So it's pretty much 75 stitches on either end of the sock tube, which is pretty satisfying. These will be finished tomorrow. So we'll have one whip down. Okay, so my next sock whip is the Oxbow sock by Andrea Mowry, and these are also for my partner. He likes long, tall socks, so these do have a really long heel, long leg compared to what the pattern calls for. And I have one sock finished and the next sock started. And I started these in February of this past year. And the reason why I stopped was because I noticed by the time I got to the heel of the second sock that my gauge had changed from when I knit the first sock. And at first I thought, because it's I'm not sure what you would call this stitch pattern, but it's got a texture almost like a broken rib texture. I thought I was counting my rows wrong so that I could match the leg, and I was getting really frustrated because I kept counting that my leg of the second sock was the same as the leg of the first sock, but they weren't the same length. So I think you can see that right here. So I kind of got annoyed with these and put them away, and I was going to frog them and restart or knit another pair of socks, but honestly this stitch pattern in a sock was like such a labor. And it wasn't the most fun to knit this stitch pattern on such a small circumference. I usually knit my socks on 9-inch circulars, and I even tried switching to a magic loop for a little bit to see if that was more comfortable, and it was not. Like, it didn't feel like a difference to me, so I just switched back to the 9-inch circular because that's what I prefer to knit with. And so yeah, anyway, I do want to finish these socks because I did knit a sock and a half, and it would be annoying to undo them or just forget about them, but I'm just waiting for the right time. And honestly, once I do pick these up, I don't think they'll take long because I do have a sock and a half already done. Even though my gauge is off, I'm just gonna go with it. I talked to him about it and he doesn't care, and he doesn't think he'll notice when he's wearing them, so we're just gonna go with that. Okay, so these socks are knit out of the Langwell's Jarwall sock yarn. I don't have the color written down in my Ravelry notes, so I'll have to check on that. It's silver mauve, and then the contrast color, which I just added two stripes to the cuff for just like a fun pop, It's yarn left over from a mini skein countdown by the Scranton Stitcher from, I believe, 2023. They did a Summer at the Shack yarn countdown, which was in reference to Gravity Falls, and I love that show, so I thought that would be a fun one to grab, and I just put that in these socks. All right, 2 more socks to go. These were totally an impulse cast on, which is probably why they aren't done, because I randomly cast them on and I knit all of this in like 2 or 3 days, and then I had other projects that I was also working on and probably avoiding, and then picked those back up and put these ones down, and they're a little bit wrinkly because they've been sitting in a bag. But they are the Surfwax socks by Summer Lee, and these socks are in her book The Sock Project, and they have this cool texture, but it's pretty much made with pearls and slip stitches. And again, the main color of this yarn is from the same yarn countdown that I used in my last pair of socks, and this is the main skein. I'm pretty sure the main skein from that countdown is called the Shack, and then the contrast color is from Sticks and Stones Fiber, and I forgot the name of the yarn, but it's got the name frog in it, or maybe it's Boreal Chorus, which reminds me of frogs, something like that. And it's just like a darker green color, and it was on a tweedy base, and I just thought it looked really cute with this yarn. These feel pretty spring/summer to me, so maybe I will work on them sometime during the summer or spring. I don't know. But I do want to finish them. Okay, last sock whip, and then we'll move on to sweaters and tops. So these are the I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost socks by Charlotte Stone. I love all of her colorwork socks, so when she released these 2 Halloweens ago, I had to cast them on, but this is as far as I got because again, it was another impulse cast on, and I think I cast them on mid-October because everyone was knitting ghost socks, and I also wanted to knit ghost socks, so that's why these are cast on. Like the Driving Home for Christmas socks, I'm going to do an afterthought heel in these socks, and I added a little stripe to the cuff for mod. I love striped cuffs. I think all of the socks I've shown have had striped cuffs except for the self-striping ones. And for yarn, the green color is actually I think it's a BFL mohair base by Emily C. Gillies in the color, I think it's like Cat's Eye or something like that. And then the ghost color is just a Cascade Heritage in the colorway Macadamia. Yeah, I don't think I have any other mods for those, but here are those 2 cakes of yarn. I have like almost all of my socks on stitch holders or spare yarn because I recently, well, I think when I went to cast on my Driving Home for Christmas socks, I realized I couldn't find all of the needles that I needed for socks, and they were all on sock projects, so I took those all off, and now I have all my needles, and I'll put them back on when I go to knit them. Before I move on, actually, I wanted to mention I started the ghost socks in September of 2024, so if I could finish them by October of 2025, that would be great, and that is my goal, so that I can actually wear them during October. Let's get into sweaters and tops. The most recent sweater cast on I have is the Book Club Cardigan by Sari Nordlund, and it is a cabled cardigan. It's a little bit wrinkled. I cast this on in November, just this past November, and I got about this far in the back yoke. And now I'm at the point where you just knit straight for a bit before you pick up the stitches to do the front yoke. I really like this cable pattern. And I thought it would be nice to have a basic, well, not basic, a comfy, slightly oversized cable cardigan for the fall. I know I started this at the end of fall, but I'll have it for next fall. So I do, like, this is not like a lingering whip like some of my socks or some of the sweaters I will show you, but I'm excited to continue working on this. So I don't have too much to say about this other than I'm knitting a size 4, and I think I'm also using 4mm needles. I took them off because I was swatching for something else, but I don't need the 4mm for the other project, so I'll put those back on this soon. And for yarn, I'm just using Sandnes Pure Gint. I really like this yarn. I find it's pretty affordable. There's a lot of color choices, and I don't find it too itchy. So yeah, Sandnes Pure Gint. I also really like Sandnes Double Sunday, which is a little softer. I believe the color for this one is 2650. I don't know what the name of that is though. Okay, my next sweater whip was cast on in August of 2024, so it is officially over a year old, and I have it in this project bag, which it's kind of too big for, but this project bag that I quilted with my grandma. It's like a box bag with a drawstring. I really like it. So this is the Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and I'm actually not too far off of finishing this one. And I would love to have it for the spring or end of winter. I don't think it would take me that long to do, but I do have a project I want to prioritize in January and February, so I might have to prioritize this one next. But I've done the body and I've started the second sleeve, and honestly I don't think the sleeve goes by that slowly, so once I pick this back up it shouldn't take me too long to finish it. But part of the reason why I think I put this on hold for so long was because my gauge, like I met gauge when I swatched and cast on, and then at some point during when I was knitting the body, my gauge did tighten up. I'm not sure how well you can tell on camera, like it's kind of around here. So I was worried about how that would affect the fit, but honestly, like my waist is smaller than my bust, which is where it gets tighter, so I don't think it'll, like, as long as it fits up here, that's what matters most, and if it's a bit tighter on the body, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. But the main color is from Les Garçons. It's one of their fingering superwash bases, and the color is, I believe, Emma's Stone. And then for the stripes, I'm just using different leftover skeins of fingering weight yarn from my stash. So I started with purple, dark green, red, orange, and then a lighter green. So I'll show you those now, but you've already seen 2 of the colors. So we'll start off with the purple. I believe this is, actually let me check. Yeah, this is from Full Moon Fibers. It's from one of their solar sock bases. It's in the color New Moon, and it's just a really dark purple. And this is the same green that was in the Surfwax socks, and I just confirmed it is the Boreal Chorus colorway by Sticks and Stones Fibers. It is their tweed sock base. Next is the red, which was in the Driving Home for Christmas socks. So again, that's Cascade Heritage Solids sock yarn in the color Blood Orange. I know I just said it was red, but to me it feels more red than orange. Now this one to me actually feels orange compared to the previous color. And this is also from Sticks and Stones Fibers. It's more of a variegated, and it is the color I think it was part of a set for fall, but this is And Everything Nice. I think it was like pumpkin spice and everything nice, but I don't think that's the saying. So the other color might have been something else, but I don't have that color. I just have this one. And then lastly, I have this lime green. I don't know if you can tell by now, but I'm really into this color of green. So this is from Leo and Roxy Yarn Co. in the color Don't Talk to Me. And like the orange one, it's kind of more of a variegated. So I thought that was kind of like interesting to have some solids and variegateds. When I picked these colors out, I loved them, especially the way they all kind of look together when you hold up the mini skeins. But then once I started knitting them, I kind of started to second guess myself. But the more I knit, the more I realized I actually really like the way these colors are working out together. So yeah, a sleeve and a half and a button band, and this one will be done. This next one I have started, frog, and restarted, and I might frog again, and I debated whether I should actually add it in this video or not, but I decided I should just add it because it is a whip, it exists. And this is the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I had the idea to knit this as a t-shirt version. And the reason why I started this sweater and picked this pattern is because in 2024, I got a 14 mini skein and a full skein Halloween countdown by Lavender Loon, and it was a countdown based on The Shining by Stephen King, and I'll include a picture of the countdown itself and the order that I decided to do the stripes in. So the first time I actually cast this on as soon as I finished opening up all the mini skeins back in 2024, but when I was knitting, I read the instructions wrong. I don't even know if I read them wrong. I just did it wrong, and I ended up with way more stitches. I was about this point actually, and I ended up with way more stitches than I was supposed to because I did the increases wrong, and I just thought that was so like frustrating, so I didn't restart it right away and I just kind of left it. But I also had hesitations about the first 3 colors I picked and just the vibe they give off compared to the rest of the countdown colors. I just find like these are 2 very light colors, and then all 3 of the colors are very bright, whereas the rest of the colors, while there are lighter and brighter colors, overall it seems a bit more like moody or muted. So there's nothing wrong with this right now. Like I recast on, I have the right stitch count, I followed the instructions properly, but I don't know if I like the color order, and if I don't like it, this would be a good time to restart. So I'm still thinking on it. I don't know what I want to do. If you have opinions, you can leave a comment if you want. Thing about this, because I wanted to get 1 stripe out of each color, I did increase the amount of rows between each stripe. I think each stripe is supposed to be about 1 inch, and mine are about 1.5 inches. So we'll see how far that gets me, and then if I need to do a longer rib or repeat 1 color, I can do that. But that's the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry. I don't think I have anything else to say really about it other than I'm knitting the size 5 and I'm using 3.75 millimeter needles. The pattern calls for sport, but I am using fingering, and I'm pretty sure I got gauge when I swatched back in 2024. Well, I know I did get gauge, and my gauge has probably changed, but I didn't re-swatch or adjust, so we'll just see how that goes. Okay, last sweater whip, which is another t-shirt. So this sweater I cast on, I want to say in 2024, but like in February or March of 2024. This is the Rumble Raglan by Lydia Morrow. I love these colors and I love this pattern, but something about the consistent 2x2 color work, okay, so I cast this on, like I said, in March of 2024, and my goal was to wear it to Knit City Toronto in May of 2024, and I quickly realized, based on like whatever was going on in other projects I had, that was not gonna happen. I wasn't gonna finish this in time, so my motivation like immediately decreased. And I don't know, I just struggled with the 2x2 color work, but I really want this sweater. Every time I see a Rumble Raglan, I love it so much. So I really hope to finish this, and I think that's going to be one of my 2026 goals, is to actually get this off the needle so I can wear it. Now, for the yarn, I really love this yarn, and I feel like it's kind of special. I think it might have been one or the first time I ordered yarn from an Indie Dyer's like pre-orders, and this yarn is from Red Door Fibers from when they did a Princess Bride collection. So we have like a really dark, almost brown red, very like off-white, kind of almost gray, and then a really light green. Okay, now colorways. The red is Nonsense, the white is Boo Boo, and then the green is I'm Not a Witch, I'm Your Wife. So yeah, I just think I love this pattern, I love this yarn. I just need to give it a second chance, like the actual knitting process, and I just need to finish it. And realistically, like, I think I'm pretty far into the yoke. I know I'm at the kind of like longest part of the yoke where you kind of have like all your arm stitches and your body stitches on, so I just need to get past that, and then once I'm at the body, I'll have less stitches and hopefully it'll fly from there. Because I cast this on for like planning to wear it to Knit City Toronto in 2024, and Knit City's back in Toronto for 2026. I think it would be fun to wear it to Knit City Toronto 2026, but I don't know if that'll happen. I don't want to like stress myself out about doing that and then like feel pressure and not actually do it. So we'll see if that happens. If my gauge has changed, I'll have to figure that out. And I think I'm knitting the size 6. I think I know people do a lot of cool like things with the color work and like the striping sequence in the Rumble Raglan. So I think I modified the color work a little bit. I'll have to look at my notes. But I remember doing something different with the color work, so that is mod on this one. That was my last sweater whip. Now I want to show you my blanket project and then quickly talk about 2 other things. I think the battery on my phone is dying, so we're gonna do this quickly. I'm gonna show you the yarn and then the project. So I have a bag of colorful darker yarns and then lighter, more neutral yarns. This is a scrappy blanket project. Is the Sweet Shop blanket by Penrose. So I thought this would be a fun way to use up some of my leftover skeins of fingering weight yarn. I think it's probably like the most common yarn / yarn weight I use. So this is all fingering weight and superwash so that it can be easily washed. And the Sweet Shop is a DK weight, so it's all held double. And then the like sample pattern and a lot of the projects on Ravelry all use like colorful yarns for the like contrast color, and then usually one neutral solid color for the main color to kind of get the same feeling as that without buying a specific main color and just using scraps. That's why I divided my yarn into 2 different bags. I don't really have too much to say about that other than Like, I think I've got 12 plus 1, 13, and I'm just gonna keep adding to this. I don't really have like pressure to finish this. I'm just gonna add to it as I have scrap yarn, and it'll be done when it's done. And I do want it to end up pretty big, so we'll see how big it gets. But I don't want to go through all of the yarns that I have in here so far, but maybe I'll just point out a couple. So this is the Boreal Chorus that you've seen already a couple times. Do I have any other whip yarn in here from this video? I don't think so, but I did mention the Coast to Coast Yarn Co. countdown in my driving home for Christmas. This isn't the brown from those socks, but it is a brown from that advent. And then I also have other yarns like this blue here. Okay, that bright blue, and then this color like white with speckles. Those are both from the Scran Stitchers from Rat the Shack countdown that I mentioned. Yeah, and a lot of other scrap yarn. I don't have too much to say about that just because it's a scrap yarn project, but it is a whip and I'm bringing it into 2026. So a big goal of mine for 2026 is to knit my first hand spun sweater. I thought I would show my spinning whip. This is my only current spinning whip, and I'm using two colorways that are very similar from Akara yarns. She no longer dyes yarn or fiber, sorry, but I've always really liked her fiber. So yeah, I have two colorways that are very similar. This is from one of the colorways. Okay, I wanted to jump in quickly before I talk more about the spin and share a picture of the two fiber braids. So when I'm talking about the first braid, I'm talking about the one on the left, which has a little bit more brown, and the name of the colorway is Fruit Bowl. And then when I'm talking about the second braid, I'm talking about the colorway on the right, which has a little bit more purple, and the name of that colorway is Autumn Leaves. Both of these fiber braids are Cheviot top, and I have 3 of each. The reason why I purchased 3 of each is because I knew I wanted 6 braids of 100 grams roughly to make a sweater spin, and I really liked this colorway, but they didn't have 6 of either one, so I bought 3 of each thinking they're very similar and they'll spin well together. So now that you know the colorways and have a little bit more context, I'll go back to talking about the spin. My idea is to do a fractal spin. So one of the colorways, I have 3 braids. I'll spin those end to end, which is these ones right here, and then in the second colorway we'll divide those into vertically and then spin those fractal and then ply them together for a 2-ply. I don't have a sweater pattern picked out yet because I want to wait and see what weight and yardage I get. I think I'm gonna end up with about a fingering to maybe sport or DK. I really don't know. I'm pretty new to spinning. I've only been spinning for I think like a year and a half, but my singles are a lace, if not a little bit heavier, and I think they're pretty consistent, so I'm really looking forward to how that's gonna turn out. But I'm almost about halfway through the fiber I have, but that is a spinning whip. And then I don't want to get too much into detail about this, but I do have one more sweater whip. I'm gonna be knitting the Port Cardigan by Ozetta, and I have this Barocco Vintage DK in the colorway Heathered Dungarees. This is going to be a gift knit, and all I have is a swatch so far. And I'm not even sure if this is on gauge because I knit 2 swatches that were off gauge. They needed to be smaller. I need to go down a needle size. So I just finished blocking this one. I think because the yarn calls for fingering weight and a lace weight, but I'm just using a DK, my gauge is a little bit off. So hopefully this works. If not, I'll just do some sweater math based on my gauge and pick a size. Those are all of the whips that I'm bringing into 2026. I hope to finish some of them. I don't know, it's the most whips I've brought from one year into another, even though some are not from 2025, they're from 2024, but I do really love all of them still, so I hope to finish them all, whether that's in 2026 or not, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching if you did, and that's all I have. Bye.